What you doing, Pancho? You doing okay? You Mr. Pancho. You Mr. Pancho. Everybody loves Mr. Pancho. Everybody loves Mr. Pancho. 'Cause Mr. Pancho got a spaceship. He does. Mr. Pancho, he got a spaceship. He's Mr. Pancho. Mr. Pancho, he's got a spaceship. Hey, Mr. Pancho. Come here, Mr. Pancho. Mr. Pancho.
Mr. Pancho, loved and revered in his home village. He was a celebrity, and everyone loved him. He was dashing, charming, and oh so coveted among the hot kittens, and the hot lads were envious but didn't let it show, because Pancho had a spaceship. And nobody gave Pancho no trouble at all. He would get in his spaceship and crank it up and take his chancel of perfection. He would choose a spot that he thought would be nice and not too hot. And he would come home. And sometimes he would have tales. See, Pancho never told much about his tales. We had to learn all we could from artifacts on Pancho's spaceship, which we have been allowed to study in great detail. Even though Pancho doesn't tell anything about his tales, we have learned enough to bring them back to you. And we firmly believe that we're telling you pretty much the tale that Pancho told, even though he didn't tell nobody nothing, on account of we made a promise that we wasn't gonna tell nobody about the spaceship unless they'd already took a ride, or something like that. But Pancho had some rules. He didn't let everybody know about the spaceship, and he didn't like being bugged about it when he was trying to be himself in his little cat village. Pancho liked the fact that he had this nice little world, and he had a spaceship. And when he wanted to go somewhere, well, he would go. Mr. Pancho is sailing in his ship. His ship rocks back and forth, and Pancho has cushy spots all about. And when he's rested and ready, he takes him a nibble of a treat and stares in the glistening triangular viewfinder that looks like a great big picture window in a huge cottage, except his cottage window is his spaceship, or something, and it's beautiful and easy for Pancho to observe. It is a most odd shape. It looked to me as a pearl surrounded by jewels of blue and gold. But it was a planet of sorts, and Pancho was heading straight away, and the glare from the planet was blinding, especially in one particular spot. And the chancellor of perfection guided the ship safely out of the harm's way of the extreme glare of the planet. It was a dazzlingly beautiful planet, but very bright and shiny, and the chancellor angled down just a bit and decided to go to lower orbit as it ever increasingly got closer to this jeweled planet. Upon closer inspection, Pancho discerns that he can land just beneath the light as the light hovers over another object, which may or may not be attached to the light. It's hard to tell, but the spaceship discerns that it's a landing spot and it's headed there straight away, and Pancho is just watching the whole affair as the ship guides itself, always in a perfect manner. As far as Pancho is concerned, it's just like a nice little rocking chair. And they get closer and closer, and soon they land. The most intriguing place. It looks like an entire world made of moss. And Pancho decides to park and opens the door and decides to have a stroll. And Pancho had a nice little nap, and the ship parked itself into a corner, and they would stay there until Pancho's nap was adjourned, or to something perhaps that he yearned would bring him back into the ship. Most likely it was his bag of treats that he kept just on the left cubicle, and Pancho knew exactly the spot, and he didn't tell nobody, not anybody else at all. But Pancho was still napping in this wondrous planet or land that Pancho's ship has embarked us upon is of great interest, as the ship's log is automatically kept and it discerns it to be a rare occurrence, what they is observing. Pancho then awakened on this planet of squishy moss. There wasn't much of anything else, just soft, cushy, squishy moss. And then Pancho noticed it had one little tree, maybe another, and then maybe a two or three. pretty soon some birds was chirping. Why, next thing you know, Pancho was in the most beautiful spot he'd ever even imagined. See, that's the chancellor of perfection. The chancellor of perfection allows you to see what you want to see, to be wherever you want to be. And the chancellor will see that it is done. And Pancho, Mr. Pancho, has the chancellor of perfection. And we take the chancellor a bit lower. I am the computer record of this chancellor who's guiding this ship. Our patron, Pancho, is having a delightful time. And we patiently wait as he lollygags and gillywonks and does all kind of gillygawks and plays and splatters and jumps into the water, and it isn't any matter. Pancho's having a blast. And the ship is nearby, waiting Pancho's call. You see, Pancho goes where he wants to go and sees what he wants to see. And he ain't telling nobody nothing about any of his tales. But he did let us look at a spaceship, and it is a sight to behold. Well, when old Pancho gets done resting on that mossy mound, he'll come back into his soft and cushy spaceship. And it rocks and bounces and gillywonks and wiggles. Whatever Pancho desires, it certainly delivers. Taking Pancho from here and there and to and fro, and wherever he wants to go. Very few creatures have ever had such luxury as Pancho was enjoying tonight. And as the dramatic wheel would dictate, there should be some sort of ill wind or something to get your attention. But I'm sorry, Pancho was having a wonderful nap, as was often the case. Pancho was trying to set a world record on taking a nap in every place. And that was a pretty lofty goal. One that the entire universe itself was impressed with and seemed to be assisting in the journey. But Pancho had found a good spot. That was for sure. And he would come home sometimes a fortnight or more. Everyone would want to know about his tales. But Pancho, he wouldn't tell them nothing. Nope. Pancho wouldn't tell them nothing at all. He said, you gotta figure it out yourself. Well, I bet old Pancho would have a hard time not telling somebody about this wonderful place. Fortunately, most of Pancho's thoughts were telepathically entered into the computer banks and recognized as dialogue. And that is herein the basis and the concept and the thesis for this entire show. Just letting Pancho let you know what a good ride he's a-having, even though he didn't tell you nothing. You got to figure it out yourself. Mr. Pancho is still taking a nap on the mossy spot from the records of Pancho's perfect spaceship, provided by the Chancellor of Perfection, that allows Pancho the wonderful gift to always see what he wants to see and to be wherever he wants to be. And that is to be for sure. So Pancho travels the universe and sees what he wants to see, and made himself a promise of sorta that he was going to try to take a nap on all the places, all the nicest places that they could be, all the cushy spots, and take a nap on every spot that there was, every cushy spot that there was, for sure. And he was finding there are quite a few cushy spots. Quite a few cushy spots. Quite a lot. You really couldn't blame Pancho. Most people said he chose well with his wish of the Chancellor of Perfection. To see what he wants to see, to be where he wants to be. And the magic spaceship that is his. And it does many amazing things. Pancho's even learning to fly it, just in case the computer wants to rest. He's enjoying it. But right now, Pancho has found a very cushy spot. And the computer has noted its very dot on the matrix of the map of whatever what that keeps up with such salt. One more cushy spot. And of course, you can always return. Once you find a cushy spot, why, it's yours. It's yours quite a lot. Why would it not? It's a cushy spot. And Pancho is going to take a nap on all the cushy spots there is.